Hello, my friends. Today I'd like to elaborate a little more about the topic I talked last class about homosexuality. And we'll talk about this also homosexuality, Sodom, Gomorrah, and Avimelech, the king of the Philistines. So let's sum up what we learned from last time. We are dealing with chapter 20, Genesis. And it's a small section. It looks like insignificant to the unlearned eyes. But in fact, it's enormously important, like any other section of the Torah, I should say. So what was the story then? I'll kind of sum it up so we can all be on the same wavelength, so we understand what we are talking about. So we learned from chapter 1, remember? It starts the story of an abduction of Sarah. It starts by the words, Abraham traveled from there. And from where? So Rashi already comments there, that's from the previous chapter, from there, from the overturning of Sodom, Gomorrah. So the Torah connects the present story of abduction of Sarah to the previous story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And there is indeed a connection with them. What was the scene of Sodom and Gomorrah? Why were they overturned? In just short sentences, as you recall, the Torah says in chapter 13, verse 13, that the people of Sodom were sinner and exceedingly evil to the eyes of Hashem, YHVH. By the way, the term evil is typical description of sin in the eyes of Hashem, YHVH, the attribute of mercy. And Rashi explained right away, what does it mean? They knew Hashem, but they did the opposite. On purpose, by rebellion. How did they know Hashem? Obviously, from learning from Shem, the son of Noah, had the Torah Academy not far, and they learned it from there. Also, the city of Gerar could also be have been affected by the Shem. So they also knew the seventh command. That's the next story. So going back to Sodom, so they were overturned because they did the opposite of what expected from them. They did the opposite of the seventh commandment in sheer rebellion and fun, making mockery. Among those things that they did is homosexuality. That's our topic. If you remember the story, the angels, where they came to overturn Sodom and Gomorrah, they were hosted by Lot, the nephew of Abraham, and in the middle of the night, the entire city, men, of course, surrounded the house and called Lot to let those people out so we can know them. That's a funny way to describe homosexual torture. And that became the source of the nickname Sodomite Act. So homosexuality is closely connected to Sodom and Gomorrah as a torture and something abomination. So the people of Sodom knew Hashem. They knew that the homosexuality is forbidden from Shem, And they knew that Hashem had already told Adam in Eden that homosexuality is forbidden. How? When Eve was born, when the woman was formed in Eden, to remind you, the verse says, therefore a man should leave his father and his mother, cleave to his wife, and they became one. And that's traditionally, that's the source of homosexuality. And that's point one. They also knew that homosexuality is abomination in the eyes of Hashem. Particularly in the eyes of Hashem. It's not only a sin in the eyes of Elohim, but it's an abomination in the eyes of Hashem, evil thing. How do I know that? We learn it. Because once they ate from the forbidden fruit, the eyes opened and they felt that they are naked. And they covered the nakedness. They were ashamed of nakedness. And from the adultery that probably Eve did with the serpent, at least she cohabited with him privately. So before eating the fruit, they were walking naked and unashamed of it, like the serpent, because the serpent was a beast of the field. And as a beast of the field, he will never have the perception of YHVH, holiness in his heart. Once they ate the fruit, their spirit was elevated. They became sensitive to the values of Hashem, and sexual promiscuity and nakedness is abomination in whose eyes? Not in the eyes of the creation of nature. Because all animals will walk around naked and unashamed. But it is abomination in those creatures like us that we have a perception of YHVH in our heart. So once we harbor this spectacle of Hashem in our heart, and every human being harbor it, because we all came from Eden. So we have this sense of abomination deeply in our heart. So the people of Sodom and Gomorrah knew that, and yet they rebel against it. And that's at that point, and that's a very important point in our discussion today. Homosexuality is perceived as abomination, as a social abomination, society or individual doing something abomination in the eyes of Hashem. It can be very prevalent with people who don't know Hashem. In Egypt, it was very popular. In the Canaanite did it. The Greek revered it. Because they didn't have any sense what Torah is, what holiness is. So they could do it without any shame, without any sense of abomination. But once you have this perception of Hashem and you know the Torah, it's different. So if the generation of the flood corrupted their way, and that's brought about them the flood, Rashi says that what does it mean corrupt? Their way, they were guilty of homosexuality and bestiality also. They cohabited also with animals. So here is a background of homosexuality from Sodom and Gomorrah, and now Abraham come from Sodom, and traveled to a new place called Gerar, which looked to as it described in the Torah, the place looked very civilized. They only lacked one thing, fear of Hashem. So they knew Hashem, and it didn't fear him. Sodom and Gomorrah, they knew Elohim, and they didn't fear him. They knew the law, but they didn't fear Elohim. Sodom and Gomorrah knew Hashem, and they rebelled against her. The city of Gerar, where Abraham is now landing, they knew Elohim, and they knew the seventh commandment from Shem, son of Noah, and they were very high level. They conducted society was very high level of civilized society on the surface, but they didn't fear Hashem, Elohim, which means the law was on the paper, but in clandestine way, hidden way, under the table, they could commit many transgressions. Among them, killing a person for his wife. And of course, they would do it not in the open, but clandestinely. And Abraham knew it, and that's why he told them, this is not my wife. This is my sister. Yet she is still abducted by force. He wouldn't go to Avimelech by voluntarily. He sent his people, and they took her. Okay, now at night, Elohim appeared to Avimelech and said, you are that man, because you took a wife, somebody's wife, against the law of Noah. So Avimelech shouted, I didn't know that she's married. So Hashem, Elohim answered him, yeah, I know. You're not guilty because it was I know that it was a misidentification of the subject. You did identify her correctly, and I exempt you from there. But you still you're still guilty in my eyes because you abducted her, married or not. And now Avimelech answers, and he says, no, I'm still clean hand. Now the Talmud at that point stop and start to think what was on Avimelech's mind? Why did he claim that he is still guilty? That for him it was allowed to do. And there are several possibilities that can be entertained here. Why did he say I'm still claim that I'm not guilty? Because I thought it is not forbidden for me to abduct her, even though she is not married. Now let's entertain, according to the halacha that come from here, let's entertain three possibilities that he could have claimed. Number one, and everything I will say that will have implication to homosexuality, because a homosexual can claim almost the same thing. That's why we will go over that in detail. Claim number one that Allah entertain here, why did Avimelech says for me, I am allowed, it's allowed to me, because could be that I didn't understand. If somebody says I didn't understand the law correctly. Nobody explained it to me correctly. Or in a rare way, in a rare fashion, he said, I never heard about it. Or I heard about it, but not from authorities, and I really I misunderstood. Not only to this particular case, but in general. So the Rambam says, if a Noahide says, transgress such a law, claiming that he didn't know the law, or he didn't understand the law, and yet let's say he abducted a woman, he's guilty. He cannot claim I didn't know the law. That's understood. That's very simple, straight. You should have gone and learned it. Nobody can claim I'm guilty, I'm free because I didn't know the law. That's not acceptable even in our society. Option number 2, extremely important here. Could be that he claimed I'm not guilty, and it was allowed to me to abduct her, or in other cases to do other things. Not because I didn't know, I knew the law, but I have other system of morality that is not exactly yours, Elohim. And I revere them. And that system allow me to do this thing that you forbid me. Okay? Very common in our society today. I am a progressive individual. I'm liberal. And I have different values that I revere them. Those values tell me that morality is something relevant, not absolute. Kant taught us that society set up its own morality. So yes, Elohim, I'm not quarreling with you. I know the Bible. I know what you want. I'm familiar with the 7th commandment. But I have other values that I also cherish, and I think my heart goes for that. Okay, it can be applied to homosexuality. So the answer, Elohim answer him, well, you said that because you don't fear Elohim. Had you feared the Elohim, you wouldn't have said it. If you feared the Elohim retribution, that he is still here, you wouldn't even utter those words because he is around. If you violate his law, he will execute his retribution. And don't dare to compare your system to the system of Elohim. So that's why you're guilty. You said it's allowed because of your preference. Torah says that's a sign of not fearing Elohim. Okay. That was option number 2. Number 3, which is more interesting. Why did Avimelech claim to me it was allowed, and I'm clean? I have a clean. God told him, "You are dead," and he said, "I have a clean hand," because he said, "God, I know your law. I revere you, and I revere you. I will fear you. I even fear your retribution. But your law not to abduct the woman does not apply to me, because I, as a king, as a king, I have the right. I'm the owner of the place, and I have the right to take any woman I want. I am different. I am different maybe because I still carry. I'm different because I still carry my tradition from Greek. They tell me that the king can do such things. And so I'm not rejecting your laws, Elohim. I'm even a God-fearing person, but your law doesn't apply to me. The answer is, God says, if you don't take the woman and send her back to her husband, you are dead. That claim is rejected flat. Let's try to apply those things, the claims, to homosexuality, because that's another sexual perversion. Uh, 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 Not perversion, I would say, another sexual prohibition that we are dealing here. Now, if a person come on like homosexual, let's go to the option of one like in Sodom and Gomorrah. If a person come and is homosexual, and he claim, and he's sitting on a platform of the bus, of trucks, wearing all kind of promiscuous clothes, dancing and shouting and drunk and is drunk, and all that is in sheer rebellion against God, in the open, a lot of fun. What is it if not Sodom and Gomorrah? So such person, we don't even have to argue with them. Their fate is to be overturned. They cannot live with Abraham and his Torah and the Bible in the same planet. That's option number one. Let's go now to the story of Avimelech. Well, let's not talk about people who say, I didn't know the law. Let's go to the Avimelech himself and says, God, I know your law. As this is Avimelech said. I learned it from Shem, the son of Noah, but I have another system. And I wait the new system to your system. I am not going there on a platform dancing in a promiscuous way and always wearing all these things and making fun and all that. No, orgies. No. Leave me alone. That's not my style. That's Sodom and Gomorrah. I revere you. I listen to you. I go to church. I go to the synagogue. But I have other systems. And my liberal progressive system, as we just discussed, tell me that the freedom of choice, that I have the right to choose my own, otherwise I would be miserable. And I have the right to do that. If you say that you choose the other way because you prefer liberalism and you prefer progressiveness and freedom and nobody should tell you what to do, individuality over the Torah, so you don't fear Elohim. So you are like Sodom, like the city of Gerar. And God told him, if you don't send her back, you are dead. But let's go to the third option. Remind you, Avimelech said, oh, I know you, I revere you, I even fear you, but I'm exceptional. your law doesn't apply to me. Avimelech said, your law doesn't apply to me because I have other law that tell me that the king can do whatever he wants. And homosexual could say in the same token, I feel that your laws don't apply for me because I'm not exactly male and I'm not exactly female, and I don't even know what I am, but certainly I don't fit what you describe in the Torah and doesn't apply to me. I'm different. I don't argue about society. I don't argue against, I know that homosexuality is corruption. I even go to the synagogue. I go to the church. I am a law-abiding man, but I am different. I'm pushed and stirred up by desire that I have no control. And you made me like this. So I'm exceptional. Avimelech said, I'm exceptional. Now, if you come to such a person and say, Avimelech, wait a minute. God told Avimelech, I don't accept it. Send Sarah back and that's it. Don't keep saying that to me is allowed because I'm different. If you say that to the homosexual who claim I'm different, well, there's a huge difference. Avimelech could just send Sarah back and the whole problem is gone. Can a homosexual change his homosexuality back to where? To somewhere? Can you give him therapy to change him? Can you give him, or would you give him electrical shock to change him? Do you send him to a big teacher to change him? Do you force on him, would you force on him to live a normal life? Give him a woman? Force him to raise a family? You create tremendous misery. And you will never change it for such a person because it's physiologically and genetically, today we know that the whole spectrum between male and female exists, both biologically, hormonally, genetically, beside environmental changes. The list is enormous, with different style, different type. Between ideal man and ideal woman, there's a whole spectrum of in between. We don't realize it in the daily life, but there is. The psychologists, the scientists now decipher different types, even call them by names. So knowing that today, how should we relate to people who come and say to Avimelech, I'm different, I'm different? Well, he cannot send Sarah back. He cannot change his physiology. Now, if we, in our foolishness, try to close our eyes and ignore it, and put all mankind in just two binary category, man and female, and whoever claimed differently is a sinner, if you accept those old-fashioned ideas, we then cause people to commit suicide and to live miserable life? Are we fearing God? To be eligible to be called a society of people who fear Elohim, fear Elohim. Elohim is creator of nature, and we need to understand nature in order to understand his law correctly. When the Torah says no homosexuality, they refer to corruption that can be overcome. But the Torah would never give us a law that you cannot change our nature to comply with it. The creator of nature, the creator of us, the one who made female and male on earth, he knows that. Moses knew that. And the Torah has been waiting for thousands of years for us to arrive and to understand more our nature from science, as we understand other things from the Torah today as we never understood before. The more we progress, we understand more. So in order to be God-fearing society, we need to open our eyes. I'm not talking about compassion, lugging them with love and compassion, but they don't need your compassion. It's the meaning. Don't hug them with love and cry for them. Just give them the freedom to conduct their normal life as they are made to. How to do that? I'm not greatest rabbi on earth. There are many. We should create the atmosphere and a way to allow these people to thrive and conduct normal life without putting a finger on them. That means fearing Elohim, understanding the law of nature, and fearing and not causing people to commit suicide, God forbid. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you. And we'll meet again.